Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the I Should Totally Be Dead Right Now podcast, where we tell true stories of survivors of true crime, natural disasters, and everything else in between. And I am now officially 30 years old.
Oh, yeah, you are. Happy
it's
birthday.
fine.
This
Thanks.
bitch, as in me, didn't even say happy birthday to you for like 2 days.
I know. I got text messages, by the way, happy birthday 2 days later. Like, oh.
I know.
No, we had a giant party at Michelle's house, so it was really nice. It was, yes.
I did feel like a total bee, though.
No.
I realized I was like, oh my God, I never said happy birthday. I'm not on Facebook at all, so I don't have any reminders. I got to do it all in my head.
I hear you, girl.
So
But I mean, yours is October 24th. Like, you know, it's fine.
I remember immediately. It's fine.
It's fine. Anyway, no, we had
That was hilarious.
No, we had a giant party at Michelle's house. So thank you for letting us rent that space out. It's
Our
perfect.
fucking pleasure.
She got me a giant cake. She got me balloons. It was awesome.
All my balloons were mean.
It was funny, though.
Made me so happy.
It was the best.
Caitlin's so nice because she threw herself a little bit of a 30th birthday and then had some other people like, it's my 30th birthday too. And she's like, fuck it. Why not? Let's all just have a giant party.
Yeah.
And Michelle over here was like, nah, this is all for Caitlin. And so I made all the balloons pretty much say as much.
Yeah.
Was that mean? Oh,
No,
I was
I think it's
cracking
funny.
up. It was mean. I did. As soon as it went up, I was like, oh, God, her other friends are going to get so mad.
They didn't. It's fine.
Yeah. Your one friend did kick me out of the party immediately.
It's true.
So
So
I
funny.
stayed, though. Haha, it's my house. You can't kick me out.
Oh, that's true. So 30 has been fine. It's been good.
Yeah, girl. I
I mean,
you.
it's...
No,
yeah.
you know
It's
what?
gone well.
Your 30s are good.
Yep.
And you know what? Your 40s are going to be even better.
Can't
Your
wait.
30s will be better than your 20s. I can almost promise you.
Gosh, I sure hope so.
Yeah. No, 30s were a lot of fun. I'm well through them, as you know, and well into my 40s.
And you're living life, girl.
Yeah, and having a good time.
There we go.
So, it's a good time. It's a good time.
It's a good time.
So, did you get these drinks as a
Oh.
little gift?
Yes, so
As
my
what?
parents bought me all this booze to make this special drink, and as you know, I am a very avid Alice in Wonderland fan.
Yes, you are.
So they got me all this stuff to make the Drink Me Potion.
And we drank the shit out of them.
Yeah, so it was, we made a pitcher, because the recipe they gave us was a pitcher amount.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of cups involved.
Yeah, so it was 1 cup vodka, 1 cup simple syrup, 1 cup lemon juice.
Yep.
And then it was 2 ounces of Midori and 2 ounces of
The blue
carousel.
Yeah.
The carousel. And then some silver edible glitter.
Ah.
And you couldn't really see the glitter in the photo, but it was really pretty when you like stirred it and...
Well, this is like my third drink in this same glass that had the glitter in
And it
it,
still
and
has
you can
glitter in
still
it.
see the glitter in
Yeah, I
it.
just can't see it in the photo, but it's really pretty. We
It
need
was
to make
there. Just know.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're tasty. It's really strong with the citrus side because of the Midori and the lemon juice and the,
Yeah.
carousel.
They're lemony, but good. A
Yeah.
little sweet, but definitely, like, I always struggle with the blue carousel because it's
Yeah.
just so blue. Oh my
It is,
gosh,
yeah.
it's so blue. But this is a tasty drink. I
It's
would
really
drink it
tasty.
again.
I would drink it again too. So this is the Drink Me Potion from Alice in Wonderland. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Indeed, indeed. I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th glass, and I can feel
Well,
it.
they're small glasses, but
I don't
yes,
think
you're right.
they're that small, and
Well-
there's no ice, and so I think we're
Oh, I
we're
hear
just
ya.
going hard. It's
well,
almost
also
gone.
we had 5 farms, so
Oh yeah, of course we did some shots of 5 Farms. It's your birthday, my
Yeah.
God.
I got 2 things of 5 farms for my birthday, so thank you for that.
Did you get peppermint vodka as well?
No, I brought that myself.
I was like, where the fuck did someone get peppermint vodka already?
No, I had a whole stash, so
Oh
I
my
brought
God.
that for my birthday. So
That's hilarious.
it's my favorite. It's super tasty. I made it last the whole year, man. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Ooh, all right, Caitlin. Damn.
So this story is about Christina Martinez.
Christina Martinez. All right.
And it is August 4th, 2009.
Okay.
And we're in California.
In California?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Okay, never
What do you
mind.
think
Marin, California.
Oh.
So I thought maybe we were in a specific town.
We are in California.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
So Christina is 20 years old, and she has a 1-year-old boy.
Okay.
So she had been dating her boyfriend Kylo for 2 months now, and she was hanging out at his cousin's house with him. And the baby was, I believe, at her mother's house. So the baby wasn't with her.
Okay. So this is not dad.
No.
This is
Boyfriend.
another gentleman.
Exactly.
Okay.
3 men came over to the house, and Christina knew them okay. They were more acquaintances than friends. She at least knew one of them because...
Like, I know who that guy is. Not, we hang out all the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'll get into the relationship in a second.
Oh,
but
okay.
so as the evening went on, it was time to go, but Kylo wanted to stay at his cousin's house. Like, I want to stay longer. And she's like, well, it's getting late, and I have a 1-year-old, you know. And so the 3 men offered her a ride home.
Okay.
And she's gotten a ride with one of them before.
Okay, so it's not unusual and being like, you know,
No.
it's not setting off any alarm bells or
No.
anything.
So she accepted, and
Should it be setting off alarm bells?
we shall see.
We shall see.
We shall
Oh, I suspect yes.
As they were going along, they said that they may stop at the beach and walk along it and smoke some weed.
Okay.
So they stopped at a gas station where they got gas, cigarettes, and 2 Arizona iced teas.
Okay, this all seems pretty normal.
So the driver, he was driving a Mitsubishi, and his name was Jose Miguel Elaya, and he's 27 years old.
Okay.
And he's also known as Mike, so I'm going to refer to him as Mike because that's what he goes by.
That's, yeah, okay, that's...
Yeah, I mean, sure. But so Christina and him they went to a few raves together, and her rave name was Candy. He was sometimes even a fatherly figure to her, since her father passed away when she was 18.
Okay, wait. Let's just put the
Okay.
brakes on this relationship.
Yeah.
It was all fine until he became like a father figure. So how old is Mike?
He's 27 and she's 20.
Okay.
I mean, he would
Yeah.
take care of her. You know, her dad was super strict, so her dad used to be like in a gang, and when she was born, she was the first daughter, so she couldn't like cut her hair, she couldn't walk on the block by herself, she couldn't go out. So of course she rebelled when she got older and
Okay.
such. But he passed away, I believe, from a heart attack when he was like 35 because he was like
Oh.
overweight and just
Just
not in
had
the best
some
of
health issues.
Mhm.
Oh, that's hard to hear.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so Mike, who knows Christina as
Yeah.
Candy
Yeah.
from all the raves,
Yeah.
is kind of like a father figure.
Yeah. So then they started to drive east away from the beach because the beach was west. So they were
Right.
driving the opposite way.
And she's like, what the fuck? I was ready to smoke a J with you guys
Pretty
on
much.
the beach.
She asked where they were going, and no one answered her. As they kept going, Lil Wayne was playing on the radio, but it is a minute
I wish I
detail,
could come
but-
up with a fucking Lil Wayne song of any kind at this
I
point, but
don't know.
nothing's coming. I don't know. I
don't know. Anyways,
I'll get back to you later. I'm gonna look some shit up.
Christina felt a little uneasy, but it passed, and she just thought maybe they were doing another stop before they went to the beach. Or they changed their mind, you know?
Okay. But she's probably a little bit on edge. Now,
Yeah,
it sounds
I mean,
like.
because she knew that Mike always carried a knife on him with a royal blue handle. And Christina said that Mike could be very intimidating and took things pretty personally when it comes to like little arguments. Like any small argument would set him off.
Okay.
It was 5 days ago before this night. Her and Kylo her boyfriend, were having an argument, and Mike took his side and they got into it. And they started yelling at each other, and he told her to leave and will leave his hood. And then she had to call and have her mom pick her up. And so that was a huge fight. They saw each other once after that fight, but didn't talk to each other. So this is the first time that they saw each other again after the fight.
I see. Okay.
So she thought that this walk on the beach and the weed was a way for him letting this disagreement go. And she was ready to, move
friends
on.
again. It's fine.
Yeah, she's ready to move on with it if he was ready to move on with it.
Okay.
In the passenger seat was a 21-year-old named Vincent Mendoza, who also she knew carried a knife that was silver. And then to the right in the back of her was Eddie Mraz, and he was 24 years old. She only had met Eddie like twice ever, once at a pool and once at like at a barbecue or a party.
I see.
So she never really had any conversations with him.
Okay.
But they are now headed towards the hills southeast of Los Angeles. Mike is going 50 miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone. He drove through an intersection near the mouth of Turnbull Canyon and not Cannon, Michelle.
Caitlin, I just drooled. That's what happened. Oh, that shit was funny. Nicely done.
So,
yes. Canyon.
Yes. So now the roads were narrowed and it turned into dirt hills.
You're so mean.
So Mike turned his head and said to Christina, "I'm going to have to tie your hands."
What?
And she said, "What?" And then he turns to Eddie and says, "Tie her hands." Christina looks at Eddie and he now has a piece of rope in his hand.
Oh, shit. So they are prepared.
Yeah.
He's not like, nah, man, I don't need to tie her hands.
Nope. She said, "You're not going to touch my hands," as she pulls her arms to her chest.
Fuck yeah, Christina.
Eddie reached for her, but Christina dodged him. Mike yells, "Tie her fucking hands."
And Christina kicks him in the face.
Eddie was trying to knot the rope around her wrist, but Eddie, Christina could tell, was nervous and he fumbled a lot. Christina is not even 5 feet tall. She's tiny. And Eddie
I'm assuming tiny and feisty. And is
because Eddie is double her size, and Christina was able to dodge and move from him ever getting to her hands.
Fuck yeah. All I can think of is like, she's got like a +8 to her dexterity. I'm sorry. I'm such a nerd. God.
Mike then took his knife and leaned back in his seat. He placed a blade on Christina's throat and said, "If you don't stop moving, I'm going to fucking kill you."
Jeez.
Christina cried, "Why are you doing this to me?" One thing Christina did not know, there had been drama from her argument with Mike.
Oh, okay.
The one
So
that
it
she
is
thought was
about
over.
that
It
stupid
is.
argument.
It is
What
about
the
the
fuck
argument.
ever, Mike?
So, okay.
Let it go, man.
Please listen closely because this is how it goes. So word of the disagreement had reached Christina's former boyfriend, which is the father of the baby.
Okay.
And so he got the impression that Mike actually had beaten up Christina in that argument.
But it was just a verbal altercation, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And then they believe that the former boyfriend vowed to retaliate against Mike. And then Kylo, her new boyfriend, found out. So he told Vincent,
Who is guy in the passenger seat.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Vincent told Mike, and now Mike thought Christina put a hit out on him.
Oh, good heavens. This is drama that has
I know.
spiraled out of control.
And then Mike wanted revenge because he thought she
no
was
bitch
trying
is
to kill
gonna
him.
put a fucking hit on me.
Yeah.
It's probably exactly what he said.
Before leaving on their ride, Eddie said later that Mike had gone into the bathroom at Kylo's house and injected himself with meth before he offered the ride.
That sucks. Fucking meth. Ruin anybody's day.
Oh, absolutely.
My drink is almost gone. Your drink is almost full. What the fuck, Caitlin?
I've been telling my fucking story, Michelle.
Whatever.
Anyway, so Mike is on meth during this thing, you know?
Okay, so perhaps he's not thinking totally straight.
No. So since Eddie has been no help, Vincent reached over and punched Christina several times, and then Eddie was able to tie Christina's hands up in front of her. So she has her hands tied in front of her.
Oh, and is now probably bleeding from her nose or something.
Probably, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't move, but she could see Vince holding a needle and a syringe. He turned to Mike and asked, "Where do you want it?" He said, "In her neck."
Oh,
I
this
know.
is very upsetting for me.
Just you fucking wait. Oh my God. Vince leaned and plunged the needle into the left side of Christina's neck 5 times. Just over and over.
My stomach just went like, ugh.
Oh, I know, right?
Is this a meth needle? I'm assuming.
So they never said, but police believe it was insulin.
Oh, interesting.
I know, listen on. So she felt...
Listen, bitch, for 1 second. Jesus.
She felt... We'll get to it. She felt a stabbing pain each time he did it and did not know what she was injected with. Christina grew nauseous and terrified. They were now at Turnbill Canyon. Canyon. Eddie pushed her out of the car and Mike grabbed her by the shoulders. Christina is now gasping for air. She would cough and then choke. Her body grew hot and she began to feel numb.
Oh, God. This is like, I'm beginning to feel numb. This is upsetting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's what insulin does if you don't have, diabetes or something like that. I don't know what it does.
What happens if you have too much insulin? It must lower your blood sugar so much that you probably almost pass out.
Maybe that's what she was feeling. Again, Christina asked, "Why are you doing this to me?" Not answering her, Mike guided her toward a steep embankment. He untied her hands and said, "If you trust me, nothing's going to happen to you."
Why the fuck would I trust you?
Right?
Even at all. For 1 second.
He put his arms around her and asked, "Do you trust me?"
No, man. Like, not a little bit.
Right? Christina was thinking, why is he playing a sick joke? Like,
yeah.
This is insane.
I'm sure she was like, yes, of course I trust you. I mean, that's what I would do in that situation.
Well, she didn't say anything. Then he pushed her to the ground and she felt a blow to her head. He said, "You set me up," he said. And as Christina felt another blow to the head.
Oh my God. So she's like getting beaten with something, not just like getting kicked in the face with his boot.
Correct. Yes.
Huh.
She didn't feel any pain because she felt numb from the injection.
Oh.
And she heard footsteps coming and then another blow to the head and then to her ribs. And she didn't know if it was a baseball bat or what was hitting her, but it was heavy.
Good Lord.
She was bleeding and her eyesight started to fade. And then she lost consciousness.
Well, it's probably from not only being beaten up, but probably the insulin. It's probably lowering her blood sugar so much that she's losing all energy and probably can't even think straight hardly at this point.
So what Mike was hitting her was a large rock. He grabbed a large rock and was just hitting her.
Ugh.
Finally, Eddie came up to him and told him, "All right, stop, that's enough." Christina came to, but could not see, just hear what was happening.
Ugh.
Then she felt her body being lifted. She said, "Someone said, she's out, grab her shoe."
What?
I don't know. She was now being carried by each limb, so by her legs and by her arms.
I see.
And then all of a sudden, they threw her off the cliff.
I thought they were going to throw her into the trunk.
Nope.
I was wrong.
She could feel herself falling, then tumbling, rolling over bushes, branches, rocks, and things digging into her back and scratching her cheeks.
Oh my God, that sounds like... Well, the whole thing is obviously a nightmare, but sounds like a even more nightmare.
The tips of these sticks and rocks tore her face, arms, legs, and feet.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
When she finally stopped, she was 20 feet below the road, on her back.
Ugh.
She still could not see, but she was starting to feel again. She was lying next to a tree, and she turned onto her side and onto her knees. She used her hands to push herself up. And then finally her vision came back. So then Mike is now running down this hill yelling, "You tried to kill me, you tried to threaten me, this is what happens."
So he's not just driving off, he's not done.
He's not done.
She's been stabbed with insulin, beaten within an inch of her life, thrown off a cliff, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm not done with her, let's just keep on going."
Yep, exactly.
Okay, well, that's what fucking meth will do to you.
Yep. She knelt and she tried to push him away, but then she saw the blue-handled knife.
I had a feeling that we were going to see this again.
Just let it happen, he said. And she felt the blade against her neck, ripping her skin. He was slashing at her throat, left to right. One slice cut 2 inches across beneath the left side of her chin.
Oh.
The next slice was 2 times longer, running from her ear line to her chin line, lifting out his knife after at 2 inches, then thrusting it back below the initial entry point, creating a shape of a 2-pronged pitchfork.
Oh, so he was kind of made a U and then further down or something.
I think so.
Whatever the fuck Mike is doing.
Yeah, well, he pretty much cut her throat twice.
Yeah,
twice
he's slashing
very deep,
at her.
at least 2 inches deep each time.
Oh my god.
She dropped to the ground and began gagging and gasping for air. Mike then began to climb up the cliff again. Christina touched her neck, and she looked at her hand, and of course, it's blood everywhere.
Covered in blood.
She thought, okay, this is gross, sorry. She thought her wounds were wide enough that her fingers could slip right inside of them.
Oh.
And to touch her vocal cords.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh my god. She cried. She was able to still speak, so he didn't cut her jugular or her vocal cords. So she
wow. So
still,
he was just slicing at the side, kind of.
I guess so. She said, "Oh my god, I'm bleeding." And then all of a sudden, she heard she's still talking from above.
Fuck. Damn it.
As Mike climbed, he motioned to Vincent, and he began to make his way down. And then she could see his silver knife in his hand.
Fuck these guys, man. I'm done with their dumb knives.
Oh my gosh, right? Fuckers. So Vincent maneuvered behind her. She felt him plunge his knife into her neck, 2 jabs.
Jeez, her poor neck.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
More blood spilled out. And
How does she have blood left?
I don't know. And how she kept consciousness, because she thought, if I am still awake, they're going to keep going. So she played dead. She just closed her eyes and laid limp and just pretended that she was dead.
Good call.
Right? She could hear Vincent climbing back up the road. She heard the engine start and then the tires against the gravel.
So they're finally fucking gone.
Yep. When she thought that they were gone, she... woke up. She took her shirt off and tied it around her neck to stop the bleeding.
Oh, smart girl.
So barefoot and bleeding
with
everywhere.
Her poor shirt around her neck that's probably bright red.
And barefoot, she's climbing up this cliff.
Oh my gosh, Christina, well done.
She had to jump back down a small ledge and hide behind a rock because she saw the car that it turned back around towards her.
What the fuck? Mike, I'm done with you forever. Just
Seriously.
FYI.
But Christina was able to climb out of the canyon and up a boulder and shrub-covered hillside and actually found a home where she banged on the back window for help.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she found a house.
Good.
And luckily,
they were home?
Yeah, they were home and they sprang to help and they called 911 right away.
Oh. Yeah, a lot of times it's like, I'm uncomfortable helping you. I'm just going to shut the door.
Exactly, it's scary when you see someone bloody at your house. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, and some people don't even want to want to get involved. Anyways, so Christina got to the hospital, and then the police went looking for these 3 men. And actually, that same night, police did find the car, pulled them over, and arrested them. What they found was a shovel, a rope, paper towels, gloves. They believe that they were returning to bury the body.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they went home to get more supplies to go take care of the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But Christina got the fuck out of there.
Right? Yep. So while Christina was at the hospital, her face was swollen, had busted lips, a slashed throat, and a split skull.
Oh my gosh.
She received 10 staples in her head and numerous stitches in her throat and the back of her neck. So the trials of the men started in December of 2011. Actually, Mike, he pled no contest in March of 2011.
So is he in jail then?
Yes, so he didn't even go to trial because he pled no contest. So he didn't plead guilty, but he pled no contest. So that's pretty much a guilty plea, I say.
All right, Caitlin.
So he was sentenced to 39 years to life in prison.
Oh shit, okay. All right.
So then Christina testified against the 2 other defendants in a trial because they pled not guilty. Vincent was convicted of attempted murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, and assault with a deadly weapon. And his sentencing was in February of 2012. And he received 36 years to life in prison.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
These are some steep sentences.
Yeah, well, fuck them.
Well, of course, fuck them.
Yeah.
I'm just, sometimes you hear about them and they're like,
oh yeah, they don't get that much time.
8 months, have fun, or 15 months, or,
3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My God, did you just read my mind?
Did.
Exactly.
So Eddie received the same sentence as Vincent, but only got 33 years to life in prison. Oh. Eddie didn't do any of the
actual beating and
slicing and stuff
stabbing
like that. But he was part of it. I mean, he didn't stop it, and he tied her hands, and and who knows? He could have done the beating also with the rock. I mean, who can say? All three men are trash. So,
just if we're keeping track.
Yeah. After the indictment, Christina suffered from migraines at least twice a day, man.
Oh.
Well, of course, your neck, your head, like, oh my gosh. So, hopefully, I mean, she stayed strong through this whole thing. She had to testify twice for these, 2 trials. So, that's amazing. Luckily, she had to do a third, but even that's so much to relive.
Oh, yeah.
Like, beaten, tied up, thrown off a cliff, stabbed, cut throat. Like, holy cow.
I know, she had the full gamut of nightmare things to happen. Well, unfortunately, they caught him.
The same night, too. Yeah. So, that's amazing. For her, super smart, like, to tie her shirt around her neck to stop the bleeding, because the neck, I mean, you have arteries all around your neck, so it's easy to bleed out. Yeah. Especially your head, too. That bleeds a lot, too. Head injuries.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they bleed like crazy. Well, and good thing she got out of there, because if they would have found her alive again, they would have immediately killed her and been done with it.
Or luckily they didn't have the shovels there and buried her alive. As she played dead.
Oh my God. Oh, I didn't even think of that, Caitlin.
I know. Oh. Terrible. And just that for a misunderstanding. One argument that went that was such a misunderstanding turned into like a murder. Yeah. It was
attempted murder.
It's insane.
Again, let's talk things through, guys. Yeah. Let's not turn to murder.
Let's take a fucking deep breath and figure things out. Like,
maybe have a drink together, not meth together.
No, not
because that just apparently makes you angry.
Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
Well, pot's okay.
Well, okay.
But not kids. Obviously. Okay, just cut that out.
Pot's legal in some states.
Yeah, in Oregon. Thank goodness.
But Christina, I hope you're doing well. I couldn't have honestly found an update about her, which is probably good because she probably just wants to lay low and live
she
her
probably
life.
disappeared.
And she just wants to, I'm assuming, just be done with it. So, Christina, you are brave. You're so smart and good on you, girl. Like,
strong as hell.
Yeah, I hope no one has to go through that, and that for you to come out ahead, like,
yeah, I don't want to get beaten and my throat slashed.
Yeah,
like at all. Not once in my whole life.
I just don't know if I would have the strength. I don't know.
You would.
Maybe.
I feel like if anyone in this room, there's just Caitlin and I. You're gonna fucking.
I'm not dying. I just turned 30.
Yeah, god damn it.
Damn it.
They all said 30s were gonna be great.
Yeah, right. But so
they will be great.
They will be great. And Christina, I hope you're doing great too. So. Damn. Oh my gosh. I was reading the story and I'm like, this is insane. Insane that people would go just to torture a poor woman.
I know.
I can't. I'm just so pissed off about women's rights right now.
You know what you need to, I know. Fucking female empowerment makes me emotional every time. That's why I got to let it go. I guess.
A little Frozen vibe.
Elsa, I know what you feel. I don't want to conceal and not feel anymore. Oh my god. But seriously.
No.
And the I am Moana.
Oh yeah!
I'm crying.
I am Moana. Oh, that's a good one too.
Oh my god.
Disney, you've done it again.
I know. Freaking bringing it home for the ladies. Oh
Absolutely.
My god. The worst. I need another drink.
Okay, Michelle. It is your turn to tell your story.
All right, you ready?
I think
ready
so.
To rock and roll?
I don't know. The last one was traumatic, so.
Well, this one is also traumatic.
Okay.
I feel like maybe traumatic for different reasons, though.
Well, I mean, surviving a near-death experience would
be traumatic for anybody.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Well, and it's going to be traumatic because we had another shot of Five Farms. And some more drink. And I realized as I was chatting with you and Nicholas out in the other room, I'm slurring hard.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to try not to breathe super heavy and not slur a whole ton.
Well, I will edit the slurs if you just say the word again and continue on like I did in my story.
Well, I'm not making any promises.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. So this story is about Chris Lemons.
Oh.
And
That's a cute name, Lemons.
I know. Nicely done.
Was it from 30 Rock?
Liz Lemon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cute.
I fucking love Liz Lemon.
Me too.
Oh, 30 Rock, I love you. All right, back to Chris. And we're in sort of northeast Scotland / the North Sea. So,
and is this another fucking boat story, Michelle?
It's not a boat story,
okay.
Caitlin.
Right.
It is an underwater story, though. I knew it. Like, and there was another one I think I was looking at. It was a fucking a plane crash into the water, and I was like, "Nah, girl, you can't do it.
Gosh. Okay.
Caitlin will kill you."
Continue on.
I was not wrong. So, this is actually September of 2012. So, Chris and his fiance, Morag Martin, and I apologize if I effed up the name, which I probably did, were kind of building a house and getting their dream life getting set up. And what Chris does for a living is he works on underwater pipelines in deep, deep water.
Ooh,
so
I bet that pays well then, because that's dangerous.
It does pay well because it is in fact very dangerous. And his fiance, Morag, of course, is super stressed about him going out in these super dangerous jobs, but he's like, it's a controlled environment. It's fine. Yeah. Don't even worry. Don't stress. So Chris and his fiance had known each other for about 5 years and lived pretty frugally while Chris was going through all of his dive certification classes and everything to get ready for these like deep dives.
Oh, okay.
And so he finally got through everything. And so what he is trained in is specialized saturation diving.
Oh.
So, or SAT. And so this means that you actually spend a lot more time in a compression chamber before you go down to dive. And then you come back up and you spend even more time in the compression chamber.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Because you're going to be... Your body is getting used to that pressure beforehand. So
correct. Okay. And then also sort of help you decompress afterwards.
Okay, yes.
So he's been preparing to be this, deep saturation, specialized saturation diver for a while now. And it paid well, and they were hoping that it would pay for their exciting future. So, for this September job, Chris would be part of a 3-man team, and they would all share this specialized saturation chamber while they're on this sort of, I apologize. They're going to be on a ship, and there's going to be lots of teams doing this repair work on this pipeline in the North Sea. So it's not just him and his team and his team. They take turns going down. Yeah. So they're going to be out to sea for like 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And
so it's a big job.
It is a big job. And so Chris is part of a 3-man team, and he is going to be aboard this vessel. It's a 348-foot boat called the Topaz, and he learned he would be working with a man named Duncan Alcock and another man named David Uwasha.
Yeah,
David. Yeah, I nailed it. Good. David and Duncan.
Confidence.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You're welcome.
This will get better, I promise.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Oh, Lord. So Duncan Alcott, who is 50, had like 17 years worth of experience diving the North Sea.
Wow.
And was kind of the mentor to Chris. And so he helped him like get his first jobs and helped him sort of look good in front of the supervisors. And so Chris, who had been certified 18 months earlier, was super excited to be working with Duncan again. He's like, hell yeah, this guy's awesome. He knows his stuff. We're ready to rock and roll. And then they met David, who he knew by reputation. So he knew that he was going to be, this guy's a pretty kick-ass diver.
Yeah.
So for the first few days, they hung out in this chamber where they breathed in apparently a lot of helium, which made it really difficult to Chris couldn't talk to his fiance the entire time because he had this super high-pitched voice.
Kind of funny.
And it is kind of funny. Yeah, they had their voices were high-pitched and distorted, and so they kept in contact via email and that type of thing. And so his fiance is off and she's doing her own adventures of bicycling and climbing on local mountains.
Oh, wow.
And just having an amazing time herself.
Without him.
Yeah. He's fine. He's about to be underwater for forever, it seems. So on September 18th, it was Chris's team's turn to head down to this pipeline.
Okay.
So they all transferred into this. They left their decompression chamber and headed to a diving bell.
Do you know how long they were supposed to be working on it?
Yes, it looks like 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
So they would be actually in the water down around 300 feet for 6 hours.
Wow.
So it's a pretty significant amount of time. I mean, you think of most dives. Yeah, even just normal diving, like you're going off a boat when you're like in Hawaii or whatever, you're only going to be under for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, really?
And, you know, so to be down for 6 hours in such high pressure takes a lot of preparation and a lot of know-how.
I never done that before. Scuba dive or
No, me neither.
Snorkeling. I haven't done either.
Oh, snorkeling. I've done snorkeling. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
You get sunburnt and you feel like you're just food
On
for
your back?
sharks. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I've actually never been scuba diving, just I think because of my ear. Like,
I'm sure.
Because my ear would never pop, and now we kind of know why, that I had an effed up ear to start with.
My sister went through scuba diving school, but she couldn't get certified because she couldn't clear her mask, like her lungs were not strong enough.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we went to the zoo while her husband did the class. So I was fine, but
you're like, woohoo, zoo!
Woohoo, zoo! But I don't think, since I have asthma, I don't know if my breath is strong enough to do that. I don't know.
I'd like to give you some advice on scuba diving, but it would be totally probably not correct. All right, so our three gentlemen, Chris, Duncan, and David, all pile into this diving bell, which is sort of a contraption that is not very much bigger than the three of them.
Oh, wow.
And it has kind of their diving gear, and that's where all the nitrogen is and the oxygen and all that stuff that they're going to be using for their dive.
Okay.
And where all of their cables are and all that kind of stuff. So
they're set.
They're set. So they descend down on cables 250 feet below the Topaz, which is the boat. So they head down. The Topaz is an interesting way of sort of keeping still. And now I gotta like find it ahead of time. But it has all these sort of thrusters that it has 5 thrusters that actually work in tandem to keep the boat still. So rather than dropping an anchor, it has all these different engines that just all work together that keep the boat in place.
Oh, interesting.
So it doesn't have like a
you said an anchor.
Yeah, an anchor that you would, a classic anchor that you would think of. So just kind of keep that in mind as we're proceeding on with the story.
Like a submarine, because they...
Kind of, but it's on top of the water.
Gotcha.
So, all right. So this diving bell that the 3 guys are in, it goes down 250 feet. And then Chris and David now need to hop out and go down, descend another 50 feet.
Wow.
So they are now on the sea floor 300 feet underwater.
I bet it's dark, huh?
It's dark as shit. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. But they have communication lines. They have power for lamps. They have cameras on their helmets. They have hot water that runs through their suits to keep them warm. So they're actually feeling pretty good. The seawater was actually 39 degrees Fahrenheit, but because they had all that warm water and everything, they were pretty much set and it didn't feel that cold to them.
Okay.
So what Duncan's job back in the diving bell was this, to feed them line as David and Chris needed it.
Oh,
so he just they both go down together and he drops off line as they need it. Because they each have 165 feet worth of cords of lines that they can...
And they went down 50 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 50 feet. So they have another, 105 or 115 feet. Yeah. I know math. It's fine.
Cool.
All right. So above the water with the Topaz, the wind is about 35 miles an hour. And some of the waves are getting a little higher. We're talking about 13 feet, 15 feet, a little bit more, but nothing that the Topaz couldn't handle. So, as I was saying, it had the fixed propellers that kept it in place rather than the anchor. And so everything was looking good. This was a very routine job. So Duncan told Chris that there's no rush, take your time, it's a routine job, you're all good. So they head down. They drop through the little 2.5-foot hole that's at the bottom of the diving bell, and they head into the dark ocean. Ooh. And actually, this was always Chris's favorite part, because he always felt a little claustrophobic inside the diving bell because it's so small. And now that he's out, he just feels like he's weightless, and there's all this like pretty stuff because he's got his lamp, and there's, things floating in the water and stuff. And it's just a delightful time. So they started working within this sort of structure that was already in place down in the water. So the structure was 30 feet high and 66 feet long, with pipes and valves that managed the oil flowing to and from, or just to probably, from wells to the platforms. So they would be down working on this pipeline, as I said, for 6 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah. Up on the ship, there's another guy, dive supervisor, Craig Frederick. And he was sort of monitoring everything. He's the guy that is actually speaking to David and Chris while they're inside out on the ocean. Because actually Duncan in the diving bell does not have communication. He's got communication with Craig up top, but not David and Chris. Only Craig up top has communication. So
Craig could be like, more line, and you just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so, like, Craig is watching the whole thing, kind of telling them what to do, where they should be, and just making sure everything's kind of going how it should. They're watching all the gauges, they're making sure the oxygen's correct, and all this kind of fun things. So they had been working for about an hour when they heard some noise from Craig's control room. There was an alarm going off, and so they were thinking, like, is the crew running a test? Like, what's going on with this alarm? But they just kind of kept on working, not really understanding what was going on. But what was going on is the Topaz had a problem. Uh-oh. Those engines that kept the propellers that kept the ship in place actually failed. And so now the Topaz is beginning to drift because it has no anchor to keep it in place. Okay. And so Craig calls down to them and was just like, drop your tools and get back to the diving bell. Like, you gotta go right now. So they were like, oh shit, okay. Yeah. They had never been told to leave their tools before or anything. And so they were like, we better freaking go. So they start using their oxygen flow tubes and that type of thing, which is reinforced with steel, so it's not just like plastic that they're pulling onto. They use those to sort of bring themselves back to the ship. So they have the umbilical cord that brings them hot water and oxygen and all that fun stuff. So they grab those to pull them back to the diving bell. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they're just following the line back up.
That's exactly correct. Okay. So Duncan actually didn't know what was happening. Duncan is hanging out in the dive bell, and he hears from Craig up above, you need to start hauling in the lines. So he's hauling in the lines, not really kind of understanding why. So they start hauling in the lines, and Chris's line starts getting tighter and tighter, and Chris is not able to make his way in. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And it turns out Chris's line was wrapped around part of that steel structure that was underwater.
Oh my gosh.
And so he gets over there and is trying to unravel it and get it, free so he can keep on going. And Duncan, it was sees that Chris's line is super tight, and he's like, give diver 2 more slack. Yeah. And he's like, I can't. And what is starting to happen is the line is beginning to pull from the side of the diving bell. So there's so much, because we have the Topaz up above. Yeah. We have the diving bell, which is connected to the topaz.
Yeah.
The topaz is leaving. The diving bell is going along with it. Oh. Chris is stuck with his line tied around this metal structure. And the diving bell is getting pulled away. So now his line is beginning to pull the metal off of the diving bell's side, inside. Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
And like Duncan was like, holy shit, if this thing flies off the side of the diving bell, it's going to rip through the floor and take me with it. And so Duncan can do almost nothing to help poor Chris. And poor Chris is down in the water 300 feet below trying to, or I guess 50 feet below, trying to unravel this line.
Yeah.
And just trying. David, whose line is free and has made it almost back to the diving bell, was like, Chris needs help. I got to go help him. So he fights the current to try to make his way back to where Chris is. And he sort of sees what the problem is with the line and all that. And he gets super close. He gets within just like yards of him. And then he gets yanked away because the diving bell and the topaz have floated away so far that it just takes David with him. And so, and then Chris felt this huge sort of, and heard this really sharp sort of bang, and then realized that his line had been broken. And so the topaz, the diving bell, David and Duncan are all gone. And there is Chris at the bottom, under 300 feet underwater.
Holy cow.
In total pitch black, and because he's got no power now.
Yeah.
No communication. And so he starts to try to take a breath and realizes he can't, and turns on his emergency air.
Oh my gosh. Okay, at least he has that.
So he's got 8 minutes worth of air. That's nothing. Due to the cable snapping, he got sort of pushed back. It snapped, and the inertia and like the energy in it like threw him back away from this sort of metal manifold thing. And so now he's in the like at the bottom of the sea, so he just sort of lands into this sort of soft mud and was with no light anywhere. Like just total pitch black. And then there's poor Duncan in the diving bell who's like bringing back Chris's line and then brings it back with nothing on the other end, and was like, oh shit. Gosh. So Chris struggled to his feet. He's in total darkness. He knew that the ship could actually track him because he's got a beacon in his suit, but he figured he had to get himself up to the top of the steel manifold to have any way of being saved, because otherwise they would have to like search all over the ground, and it was going to be it was just going to be a lot harder to find him and then save him. And as we said, he's got 8 minutes of oxygen left. So he picked a direction at random and took a few cautious steps, and thankfully his outstretched arms hit metal. And so he was like, he found the metal structure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Lucky.
he was like, thank God. He had a ton of relief. So he began to sort of make his way up the top of this thing. And he was breathing really hard. It was a big struggle. He couldn't see anything, but he got to the top. And he's wondering, where the fuck did the topaz go? Like, what am I going to do? So he got to the top of the platform and clung to the metal grill. He was terrified that the current would drag him away. At this point, he figured he probably had about 5 minutes left of air, and he knew his chances of surviving were probably pretty slim at this point. And unfortunately, the situation was actually even worse than he thought. The topaz was now over 700 feet away. And the crew was trying desperately to turn it around to try to make its way back, because they knew they had lost a diver. But I mean, this is a giant ship. It's 350 feet. It's not going to just turn around and be like, zip, we're right back. So they had to like manually get the thrusters going, and it was a big old fucking mess. And so the topaz was slowly making its way back. So the minutes passed, and Chris, pretty much his fear had turned to grief at this point, because he just figured, I've got like 3 minutes left. I'm probably gonna die. I'm sorry, Morag, his fiance. fiance. He's sorry. He was actually thinking about all kinds of really mundane things, like, does she know when the next payment for the builders needs to go out? And just all kinds of silly things. And he shouted out for Duncan, where are you guys? Like, what's going on? And then his chest grew tighter and his oxygen dwindled. And he just hoped that dying didn't hurt. I'm like, that's where he's at. And he felt himself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. No. So now Chris is unconscious under the water.
Oh my god.
He's probably not holding on, but fortunately he was able to stay on top of that steel manifold. So Craig, up at the Topaz, sent an underwater vehicle down to look for Chris.
Oh, okay.
And what it sent back was pictures of him laying on this metal grill underneath. Gosh. And it looked like his hands were twitching, so he thought maybe he was still alive. But at this point, 16 minutes had passed since
he only
that.
Had 8 minutes.
He only had 8 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So he's been without oxygen for 8 minutes.
Oh, it's so long.
It is a long time. And so David made it back to the bell and pretty much started getting himself ready to be able to go back out to try to save Chris. And pretty much they were like locked and loaded, ready to go as soon as they could get the Topaz and the diving bell back into position.
Oh, no.
So they just have to sit there and wait.
Oh, my gosh. That's the hardest part.
So at this point, David and Duncan are thinking they're probably going to be retrieving a body. I mean, they were like, oh, my God, how are we going to tell his fiance? Mm-hmm. I mean, just really dark thoughts. And they just said the wait was agonizing.
Oh,
as they're waiting for the boat to come back into position.
Yeah, because like you said, it's going to take a long time for that big thing to turn around.
Exactly. So they just kept constant communication to make sure the positioning was right. And now they're like finally able to get the positioning system back working by rebooting it. They're like, fuck it, let's turn it off and turn it back on. And that fixed it.
What?
What? That fixed it.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's been 25 minutes since.
No.
So he has been without oxygen for like 17 minutes. So they finally got the ship over the dive site. Mm-hmm. And David got everything together and he went into the water to go down and try to find him. And he was actually able to find him almost immediately.
Oh, okay.
And so he looked into his mask and he was like, this isn't good. His whole mask was full of water. Oh. And they were like, all right. So they clipped him onto the rescue lanyards and they essentially... David started hauling him back using his own cord, his own umbilical cord with oxygen. Cord. Well, they've been calling it an umbilical cord. Okay. I guess it kind of makes sense. It's got oxygen and warm water and everything you need to live. Cute. So I guess Chris was actually a pretty big guy, so it was pretty difficult to get him back. He said it was like trying to carry a giant starfish. So it was... So by the time they were able to push Chris's upper body into the bell, another 6 minutes had passed. So, I mean, we're into the 30 minutes now.
There's just no way.
So Duncan unclipped his helmet. Chris's eyes were closed and his bald head was as blue as a pair of jeans, is what it said.
Oh my god.
They said there was like little chance of him surviving that long without oxygen. But they said, fuck it, we got nothing to lose, and they started CPR.
Oh, okay.
And so Duncan gave Chris 2 breaths, and then, unbelievably, Chris, like, opened his eyes.
2 breaths?
2 breaths.
After 30 minutes?
Wow. His eyes opened, and he started blinking, and Duncan felt like he could have danced a jig. He's back with us. I know. He's like 50, I think it said. So they asked us, like, are you all right? And Chris gave him a thumbs up.
Aww.
So they started flushing out his suit with hot water and asking us, like, do you know where you are and what happened? And he's like, yeah. I do remember. So he was groggy, but he seemed like himself. And so they got him into the decompression chamber, and they just like lots of hugs going around.
Aww.
So over the next 3 days, they depressurized on the Topaz, and then they were able to like sort of talk through what happened again and again. And they totally like made fun of him for snogging on the like dive trip. You know, it's like the CPR. It's like, why are you trying to make out?
Right.
And it's like, that's not appropriate. And so now it's like, oh, great. So Chris has no brain damage.
Really?
Yeah. And
that's lucky.
How he survived is still unclear.
Mm-hmm.
What they think is because he had been essentially pumped up with such high oxygen rich gas
beforehand
that he probably had a lot of oxygen in his system still when he stopped breathing, and that perhaps helped. And also the super cold temperatures on the bottom of the ocean, they think sort of put him into shutdown mode. And they just, his body sent all the oxygen to all of his organs, and that's how he was able to come out of it with actually almost no injuries. Chris was able to phone his fiance, and she, of course, raced across Scotland to meet him. And as soon as he disembarked the Topaz, she smothered him in kisses and hugs. And so she said that she was super proud of him, and that many would have said, this is too dangerous and I'm not coming back. But that is not what Chris did. He immediately went back down. He said he didn't want to lose his nerve and continue to be a specialized saturation diver to this day. So they went ahead and got married. They adopted a little girl. And they finished their house, and they had a glimpse of dying, and then they're not scared anymore. He had a lucky second chance. I've always had a lust for life, and the accident only made that stronger.
Oh my gosh. Wow. The fact that he just went straight back, like, oh my gosh.
I do kind of want to know if something happened to him, like, did he get taken away from his body for a little while? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I just kind of wonder.
I've seen a lot of those stories, too.
Yeah, where they're actually...
went to heaven, or... and then came back, or they went to hell and then came back.
Yeah, they're like, nah, that's not for me. I'll be better.
Yeah, no, I guess I would feel like they would put that in the story. Maybe just thought he was asleep. I guess
he just was unconscious. But
that's so crazy.
I like to think not.
Dude, deep water is so scary.
Thank you, Caitlin, for saying that, because that is true. Even despite my ear and everything, I don't even know if I could ever go scuba diving.
I don't know.
It's just so scary. Joel goes scuba diving, and he says it's the greatest because you can sit at the bottom and see everything above you, whereas snorkeling, you're on the top of the water, and
you just see what's below you.
I guess hoping. And God, when I was in Hawaii doing scuba diving, every single thing, like, there's buoys out there that it must be a popular scuba site or something, because ships will come and like attach to this one buoy. And every time I look over, I'm like, shark! Like, I'm gonna be dead. And in fact, it's not the case at all. There was no sharks.
There's so much shit in the ocean.
There is a lot of shit. Well, and I think there's just so much shit that we don't know about.
Yeah.
It's just so deep and dark and unexplored, and who even fucking knows what. There's probably aliens living under there.
Atlantis.
I was like, maybe that's like makes me happier about the whole thing. It's not so dangerous. Aliens are down there.
You think aliens are just chilling nice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't?
Have you seen World of the Worlds?
No.
Or War of the Worlds, whatever, sorry.
I'm not having any part of that.
That's a good movie.
No, I haven't seen it. But
you haven't seen it?
No.
What?
I don't know how I haven't seen it.
They did a remake with Tom Cruise, and that's actually pretty good, too.
No, I haven't. Well, in part of me, it's like, that's all propaganda. They're just trying to make us scared.
Oh my gosh, it's propaganda! It's not sci-fi, it's propaganda?
Yes.
Oh my god, Michelle, you're so funny.
I belong to the Star Trek. Everyone's here to just elevate everyone else.
That's good. That's a good point.
probably not out. You're like,
That's
bitch,
you know
sorry,
what?
you're gonna be dead. You're the first one.
Oh, no, that's good.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
good.
Well, these drinks were good.
These drinks were good, and it's been a good month so far. These were good stories.
I know.
Lots
Fucking
of
fall is
bravery.
here now.
Fall. All the basic bitches are coming out, as in me, with my scarves and chunky boots, or my chunky scarf and my boots.
I already have a sweatshirt on.
You do. I love the rain.
soft.
If it could rain every day, I'd be happy.
I'm almost like too warm, but I can't take my sweater off.
I hear you.
Like I just don't want to.
I hear you. That's a great feeling.
I'm getting flushed.
Well, we hope you enjoyed these stories, and please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can check our website out. I should totally be dead right now. I-should-totally-be-dead-right-now.com. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Maybe think twice about being a specialized saturation diver. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're like, bitch, you're done. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.